Hey everyone, just a quick video walkthrough of a project integration that I just completed. Putting a monitored Honeywell Ademco Vista panel together with a Smartthings controller. You can use any controller you want for this setup, whether it's Smartthings, Wink, Vera, HomeSeer, or any one of the other flavors out on the market. It all works the same. So some of the Smartthings stuff later that I'll show you, that's directly, specifically Smartthings, but for the purpose of the hardware setup of this will work for any monitored or unmonitored alarm. If you have like an old ADP alarm that's based off the Honeywell platform that's left in a house and you're not paying for monitoring, you can do the setup too. There are a couple other setups that you can use, such as AD to Pi and AD to USB through alarm, basically alarm decoder, as well as an Invisalink module, which essentially both of those setups will give you a virtual keypad, essentially a digital virtual keypad, such as having just another one of those that's specifically on your phone or tablet or whatever method you want to access it, and that would interface with Smartthings or any of your other home controllers. I chose not to do that because I don't want a directly connected device that can send commands to my monitored alarm panel that I am letting be connected to the internet. Some people have greater concerns about security for hardware and devices. The security for Smartthings, I'm sure, is good, but I would prefer to keep the Smartthings and monitored panels somewhat separate. I'd like to know what the monitored panel is doing, but that's about it. So that's what this setup is for. So basically what I did was I went into my panel, and if you look in there, jumble of wires. That's because most of my house is monitored via wired contacts. Right here I have the wiring harness that you can see pops out the top of the case for the Vista panel. That is wired right off the keypad contacts, which is what you're supposed to do with one of these. This right here inside the case, notwithstanding the sensors on the front of it, is an Ademco 4204 relay module. It's one of these. You'll find it in a box like that, sometimes a white box. You can pick them up on eBay, approximately about 35 bucks, maybe 40 if you shop around. Sometimes new, sometimes used, depending for that price, but new price is close to 100 bucks. So in terms of best bang for your buck, there are two other relay modules modules you can use that have relays. One is the 4204CF, which is a supervised relay system, where there are 4 relays, but 2 are for supervision, so you would not be able to use all 4. The other is a 4219 zone extender. So basically, if you're like me that has a lot of wired zones and you need more than the 15, which is I believe the max on the 20p panel, or I believe 8 or 7 on the 15p panel, you could use a 4219, which will give you extra wired zones. And additionally, on that board there are 2 output relays, just like this has 4. Again, best bang for your buck. If you don't need the extra wired zones, go for a 4204 for this project. Anyway, if you come up here, you'll see the physical wiring of how I did this. This is currently sitting vertically. It will sit horizontally momentarily once I stop this video. I just have it hanging off of one screw just so it's a little easier to get into and show you what's up. Inside of here, you're going to find 4 relays with the screw contact terminals. For each one you have 3. There's a common, a normally open, normally closed position, so every relay you can do whatever you need independently of each other. And these are also dry contact, so for the purpose of directly connecting to a door or window contact sensor and not frying the thing, this is exactly what you need. If you take a look up here toward the top, those pins right up there are how you set the address on this module. Just figure out what hardware address on your Vista 15, 20, 21, or 50p panel that you need for this hardware and set it accordingly. and again, you see the wires coming out of the alarm panel box that run into here. That's a wiring harness that's on there. You could wire them directly to the contact terminals. In my case, the 6160 keypad, which you see right over here, which I just use for programming my alarm, and the other keypads are in other locations in the house. This keypad is directly wired through the contacts there instead of into the box. Just a different way of doing it, but it works nonetheless just the same. On the inside of here, you can see a little wiring diagram. It's just going to show you exactly how to wire up, what you want to wire up, and the dip switch settings for the hardware address. Notice down here it says relay contacts not supervised. That's in relation to the 4204. If you get the CF version, that'll be missing, and again, you'll only be using 2 out of 4 of the relays on it. When you look at the outside of this panel or case, you notice I have 4 go control sensors on there. They are just Velcroed on. So I'm going to stick that back on. Bear with me. It's not the easiest thing to do single-handed. So you can see those 4 are wired up. Now, the functions I have those wired to, I have listed out in the programming manual. I wrote it out. So you'll notice relay 1 I have armed away, relay 2 armed stay, relay 3 disarmed, and relay 4 burglar alarm sounding. The secondary is the current position of the relay. So closed, armed away. What will happen, the action is that it will close for a duration in this case, and then reopen. In the case of number 4, burglar alarm sounding, that one will not automatically reopen until you physically disarm the system. Now, if you come over here in the programming menu, you can see all the different functions that you can possibly use. There are quite a variety of them. For the case that what I did, arming stay, arming away, disarming, and any burglar alarm. As well as you can change the output action from just turning the relay off completely, close for 2 seconds, close, stay closed, continuous pulse on and off, change device state, which I don't know what that means, and numbers 5 and 6 are custom durations that you can set in the star 177 field if you know how to do that. So basically it will do the close for 2 seconds, but close for whatever custom duration. In my case, I have it set to 15 seconds. You can find all that in the Vista 15 and 20p programming manual. I just printed out the section specifically for the output device programming, which are these things. So first you go through the star 79 section is going to tell you how to physically address and program this module, and the star 80 section, which you will find right here, is programming the actual specific relays that are on that module, whether it's a 4219, a 4204 CF. This will tell you how to program the actual individual relays. But in any case, get to some of the demonstration on the Smartthings related stuff. So on Smartthings Home Monitor, this is the first step. I have these things set up, as I told you, they're go control sensors that they're automation that's oriented to those sensors. Specifically, it changes the mode on Smart Home Monitor. It also changes a virtual switch and a virtual door lock that I wired up to this, or programmed into this if you want to call it that. So I am going to demonstrate arming the alarm on stay. You heard the alarm arm. There it is. Disarm. There you go. It's taking a little longer than usual. Usually it's a lot quicker than that. But in any case, let's see here. So let me go down to the sensors. There we go, sensors. Okay, so there are the 4 sensors, as well as the 2 virtual contacts. So I will show you how this looks operating. Just bypassing a zone. There you go, alarm stayed. Now you'll notice that one opened, and down here, the virtual door and the virtual sensor turned on and locked. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with these yet. I was probably going to use them for triggers for any of the external stuff that I use, like through Stringify, because I don't use Core currently, but I'm debating using Core, so I haven't decided exactly how I want to integrate those. I may just delete them later, but in any case, those are there just to essentially mirror the smart home monitor condition of being on or off. This does not monitor stay or away. Stay and away will both send an on command or lock command to both of those. Disarmed will send the opposite command. So I'll show you that for the disarmed. And there you go. You will see the disarm, open, and those two will shut off. Additionally, I used, this is just a side shout out to Kevin on the Smartthings forum. I used his multifunction handler on the Go Control sensors. They work for Monoprice, Linear, and Go Control. These are pretty awesome. It looks like a pretty basic device handler, you know, in the way it handles for an open closed. However, if you go into this thing, if you have the multifunction version, there are two attributes, primary and secondary. There are ways to set those attributes, so I will show you. I'll just use the secondary. There are a bunch of different things. You can make it look like a garage door, motion sensor, smoke, water sensor. In this case, I have mine set to none. However, for a motion sensor, you can set an active and a deactive event. So like if you're using a driveway monitor motion sensor out there, you wire it up to one of these via a relay, and it'll essentially act as a motion sensor. The cool thing is, if you do it through here, it will actually assign the device handling properties, so it'll show up in your smart home monitor, it'll show up in your list of things as a garage door or as a water contact sensor instead of a door contact. And if you do select both attributes, you would actually see the other one right there. You can have it toggle between the last and most current, between the primary and secondary. You can have it always assign the secondary there, the primary there, or the primary and the secondary. You can do all kinds of stuff with this. There's a child app for it too that will take whatever the secondary contact is and assign it out to another device, a virtual device, so that you can have the primary or the parent device and the virtual child device and see both of them in your device list, so you can monitor them separately. It's great for using any integrations for triggers via Core, Stringify, or just basic integrations with like smart lighting, etc. In any case, the automations are set up through doing a few routines. So here's where it gets, here's where the meat of the programming side is. Let's say arming away. What happens when you arm away is it sets the smart home monitor to away, and it locks that virtual door. Changes the mode on the system to away, and I have it set based on automatically performing the action when something opens or closes, and then you'll see right here there is that sensor. So arm away trigger, that's what I named it, the 15-second to reclose. It's a long name, but you know, it's just my own quirky way of doing things. And specifically only when it opens, because since this thing is set to automatically close the relay 15 seconds after it opens, I don't want it re-triggering back and forth. I just want it to send the last known command or configuration from the Vista to Smartthings and let Smartthings track it based on just being logical about it. So you can see arm away, arm stay does virtually the same thing, but arm away, it's not part of the arm away shortcut, but I do have a goodbye shortcut. That's also triggered by that same contact opening automatically unless I do it myself. So that in of itself will run and shut down the whole house command. Disarming, I have it set up that through Stringify, if the thing disarms, this just runs a basic disarming to change the mode, but through Stringify I have it if it disarms and it's that I'm home or I'm not home, it's my wife that's home, or the time of the day, it turns on specific lights downstairs, some upstairs, etc., etc. So, you know, again, that's just your own custom programming. Alarm sounding, that one, if that contact opens, it's going to turn on every light in the house, turn on all the color lights to red, turn off anything that makes noise, such as ceiling fans, box fans, printers, TVs. It shuts command, or it sends a shut off command to all those, so that basically it's as quiet in the house as possible and as bright in the house as possible. Also turns on all the outside lights too. So basically, for security's sake, if your alarm goes off and somebody really is breaking into your house, well, they're not going to stay hidden too long. The last part of it is what I have with stand by. Let me get my smart lighting here. Here we go. Sorry. Here we go. I created one alarm system off. So basically, this is just to turn on and off that virtual switch instead of the door lock, and that's just based on open, close, specifically when it opens for that. And sorry again, just looking down here, not paying attention while I'm holding the camera. This one is for on. It'll turn the switch on. So basically, you saw pretty much how this is set up in terms of the physical hardware. The software side of it, I have it again tied into Smart Home Monitor. I have it again tied into specifically those two virtual devices that I'll choose how I'm going to integrate later. And if you want to, you can actually, instead of running it off the virtual devices, just run it off the relay contacts in terms of your automations. But basically, that talks to that through those. And it's a pretty simple way to do it. Keeps it completely isolated in terms of security's sake, so there's no way any breach of your network security or the Smartthings cloud or any other security breach is going to be able to potentially disarm your monitored alarm panel, or unmonitored for that matter. But that's how I set it up for my house. And if you have any questions or any feedback, anything you want to add, any suggestions to make things a little bit better than maybe I already have it, please feel free, comment in the thread, and I'm definitely interested to hear feedback.